Just because you leave town doesn't mean you should go without your commercial-free music, play-by-play from your favorite teams, or the programs, entertainment, or news you listen to every morning. Get SiriusXM and get the radio you love coast to coast. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com to activate your radio now.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer. You get out of the car. Anywhere you take your phone, you can take Howard Stern, NFL Radio, and commercial-free music channels from nearly every genre. Channels vary by subscription plan. You never have to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more.
The Drops. And the Riffs. That define a decade. A channel with non-stop pop anthems from the 2010s. The 10 spot, Channel 11, and in the SXM app, included with all trials and popular plans.
To hear this channel, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, I see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, I see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour, vidi vidi vici, let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe. What a beautiful day. It's actually March the 8th. In 2024, today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya, where the good Lord split ya. That's one of the dominant feet of Cadillac cars. Really do appreciate that. I love coming to you on a beautiful, sunny Northern California Friday. Happy Friday! If you know it's Friday, then you can celebrate Friday. We love the weekend. I really do appreciate that. I tell you, everybody loves what's going on in the world. I had the State of the Union last night. President Biden was doing his thing. Whatever he was doing to relax, I need the same thing so I can relax on my Big C Sports podcast also. Really do appreciate that. Got some talk about what's going on in NBA news today. You know, NBA basketball. Got a couple of players going under for some surgery. Carl Anthony Towns, the big cat. Steph Curry has a hitch in his giddy up. LeBron James also had a hitch in his giddy up. So a lot of big time players are having a hitch in their giddy up right now. I hope it doesn't affect them down the back nine of the NBA basketball season as everybody's trying to get ready for the playoffs. Really do appreciate that. I want to always tell you what I love about Big C Sports Podcast is I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Oh my goodness, streaming on 4 TV applications, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Really do appreciate that. Also on 29 podcast applications. Really do appreciate that with Big C Sports. But no matter how many applications you're on, I really do appreciate the service that we get from our military veterans. And sometimes people just say that. We want to thank our veterans. But you know, sometimes the veterans, they go through issues too. And when they go through issues, it's one thing to say that we love our troops and that we want to support our troops. And I do too. I want to support our troops. And what I want to make sure I do is to give out the Veterans Crisis Hotline on every show because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's nice when somebody's doing back. That's what I love about the Veterans Crisis Hotline with Big C Sports Podcast. I might be a little bit different. I'm going to talk about our California Reparations Hotline. I really wish that President Biden would have acknowledged that last night. The biggest voting bloc that voted as a monolithic group are African Americans for President Biden. And that's the one group that he didn't give a lot of time to. He did talk about equality. He did talk about creating educational opportunities for everybody. But at the same time, when you have the California Governor, Gavin Newsom, and the Secretary of State, Shirley Weber, and the California Reparations Task Force, everyone knows that Gavin Newsom's being primed to come in place after President Biden's second term, I believe. But at the same time, it would have been a great time just to at least say that we support studying reparations. Even if you're afraid of I don't know what base you think you're going to upset. The base that did not vote for you, why would you be afraid of upsetting them? And to assume that you would lose votes by saying we're in favor of reparations or even studying reparations like it's been done in California, that galvanizes the group that put you in office. So I don't know why you would not acknowledge that group when you had the State of the Union last night. But maybe there's more I didn't understand. That's my opinion. I'm taking with it. I do want to say what I do with Big C Sports Podcast is I produce the shows. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. We do appreciate that. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. The storytelling, I do the play-by-play. And then the show's uploaded to 29 podcast applications all over the universe out of New York City. And I'm in Dimdale Hills, California. And number 10, I never missed a show. With Big C Sports Podcast, I never missed a show. And that I'm very proud of because sometimes you got people that now they miss practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. A lot of times people miss practice. But I never missed a show with Big C Sports Podcast. And I'm really happy about that. It's not as easy as people think to do a show. If you think it is, do it. And at the same time, I want to be factual. So everything I say with Big C Sports Podcast, I want to be factual. You don't have to believe anything I say if you can't Google it. And I want to give that some praise because oftentimes people just talk and you can't verify anything they said. I want to thank T-Mobile, proud sponsors of Big C Sports, America's largest 5G network. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. I want $6 billion. And I'm not joking because our president wants to give more money to the Ukraine. And if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I think you should feed your own voters first. If you support anybody, support the people that put you in office. Maybe I'm odd for saying that, but I don't know how that would be odd at all. I just don't understand it because I want to make sure that people understand I'm not only about sports, I'm about politics. And also, I want people to Google Executive Order 13985 on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That's the White House. And our president spoke about that when he was signing the office in 2020. So I just want to make sure that I put that out there because he didn't mention it last night unless I missed it. And sometimes, they say men don't listen. So maybe I missed that part. But the part I won't miss before I bring on a wonderful guest, Anthony Wesley. He's going to be an Olympic champion and he's already doing a lot of training, but I'm going to bring him on in just a minute. But I want to make sure I always pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to give praise to Attorney Camila Moore. She's the chair. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I'm going to give praise to Dr. Amy C. Brown. He's the vice chair. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to the number one senator in the United States of America, the California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant, and I love giving him praise. He also created name, image, and likeness that helps college student athletes get paid for their name, image, and likeness. Really do appreciate him. I want to thank Councilmember Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank and give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. And I'm going to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I love giving them all praise, but they were not mentioned last night at the State of the Union. And everyone's in charge of reparations. And anything that happens in California, it tends to sweep the country. That's why with Big C Sports, I want to make sure that I do my part. And I want to also make sure that I pay homage to what I'm doing, helping create jobs all over the country, a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth with RDC Consulting, the great law offices of Scott Thibodeau and George Jones, long-term care solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience by the great Ray De La Cruz. I love doing what I'm doing, business development consultant all over the country. We help you understand Medicare and you, taking care of tomorrow. And in California, it's called Medi-Cal. Some places it's called Medicaid. What do? We help you and your spouse avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options. Our promise to you is we specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets. I got a commercial I'm making, and some people think it's Aflac. No, it's not Aflac. It's called protection of your assets. Asset protection. We specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without a spend down. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies is handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medical equipment costs, and more. Protection of your assets. Aflac? No, Aflac's the duck. That's gap insurance. Asset protection is through the Big C team, through RDC. If that makes sense to you. We really make sure we protect your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program that can be up to 40%. We have a one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Give that some praise. I do more than just yell touchdown, home run, three-point play. Old man Willie, he's going all the way. I really do appreciate that with the Big C team. For you business owners, you got to make sure that you can find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. Protection, fixed assets, and variable assets. You get it all with the Big C team. And that's what I do when I talk to student athletes. And professional athletes, sometimes these guys make a lot of money, and a lot of times they run out of money. So why RDC with Big C Sports? Protection, insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate. You have life insurance options, fixed assets, your bank account, checking account, savings account, money market account, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, fixed index annuities, and variable assets, real estate, qualified money, IRA, 401k, and other investments. If that's not too much for you, give that some praise. All's fair and nothing more. I'm going to take this call with Big C Balls, also known as the Big C Timeout. And when I come back, I'm going to talk to a great wrestler. In fact, you don't want to get on a mat with this guy because you might get pinned down. You'll find out how you get pinned down when I come back to the Big C Balls. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And I really do appreciate that. I also want people to know that with Big C Sports Podcast, every now and then I'll have a guest because I want to edify people. and give them a chance to rise and shine. But I can't make it rise and shine. You got to have it inside of you, and that's what I have with a special guest. And his name is Anthony Wesley. He just returned from 2 months in training in Tokyo, Japan. But I know that all of the training you've been doing, you still have time to make a phone call. Is that true, Mr. Wesley? Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm always willing to talk with you, Charlton.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you. Obviously, your father, the great August Wesley, he was on my very first show back in 2018, and I still haven't seen the footage from that show, but it's all fair and love and war. But I do appreciate you, that I want to just get a few things and get your thoughts about what you're doing in the world of training for Olympics. I know you just got back. You were doing 2 months of training in Tokyo, Japan, and for both men and women teams. And I think you're top 6 in the world. You also had a major earthquake at the time while you were there. I think it was a 7.6 on the scale. What was that like?
I mean, it was crazy. It was during New Year's, on New Year's, in Japan. So it was a lot of people were contacting me, making sure I was safe. But it was on the opposite side of Japan.
Yes.
And I was contacting some of the people that I do know in Japan, make sure they were okay.
Yeah.
But I wasn't affected by it in the slightest. None of the people that I know either. So everything was good.
Well, that's good. That's good. Coming from California, I think we kind of get used to little tremblers every now and then, but it's good to, well, that's a pretty big number at the same time. But I also noticed that there was a site, like an Instagram site, you got a lot of likes while you were in Belgrade, Serbia at the 2024 World Championships. I think you got over 7,300 likes. So even though you travel all over the world, you got a pretty decent following. Your thoughts?
I mean, I try to grow my following as much as possible. I want people to see what I'm doing for the sport and see what I'm doing for the country, as well as, catch up with me, So,
well, see, you young people, you know how to do that. You can play with your phones. You can go to a game, and people are playing with their phones, but they're not playing, checking their text messages. They're trying to get the followers. Is that how you do that? You get more followers by reaching out to those sites?
Yes and no. I mean, sometimes it's more organic. I just post stuff that I want to post, or I have a lot of my other friends, they post some stuff that'll be more their passions or their interests to really grow their following in the way that they want. Yeah. So well, it's just about what you want to do and keep doing it.
And you keep doing it. Also talking to the great Anthony Wesley, son of the great August Wesley, and also with Team Cape Verde. You got a BA at Iowa State University. You were a scholar athlete, an MBA at Wheeling University, international career, 5th in Egypt, in the Ibrahim, can you pronounce that last name? Is it Ibrahim Mustafa, the 5th in Morocco?
Correct. Ibrahim Mustafa. Yep, you got that correct.
That's amazing. And the AF Championships 2022 in Serbia, World Championships, and 5th in Tanzania. And then also the AF Championships in 2023 in Serbia, the World Championship, and then 1st in Peoria, South Africa. You have such a traveling schedule, and then when you go from continent to continent, in and out of different countries, they have their own protocol. How do you stay so focused to always seem to be placing in the top 1 or 5, if that makes sense to you?
I mean, I just go out there and wrestle. I try to obtain knowledge from everywhere because there's cultures and different techniques that you can use everywhere in the world, and that's why I like to travel. Wrestling is something that you can never stop learning. Being a student of the sport is very important. You can reach the top and you still have more to learn. That's the beauty of wrestling. So being able to perform at a high level has always been what I've been accustomed to. So I just continue to do that, and I strive to become better every time. That's why I was in Japan. That's why I go to the African Championships in Tunisia or Morocco and go wrestle around all over the country and the world, because it never stops. It never stops.
It never stops. But you also, I mean, you had a 5th place finish, so that was a bronze in the medal match, and very close to being a multiple-time international medalist. That's a very, very difficult thing to do, but because of your discipline and your work ethic and your training, you're able to do that. Talk about your mindset in making that happen.
It was discouraging at first. I mean, everyone wants to be on the podium and get a good bronze medal, gold medal, silver medal. But anything that's great is worth extra hard effort. So wrestling is a very tiring and grueling sport on mentally and physically.
Yep.
But you have to have the determination and the will to really want to be the best, and that's what keeps me going. That's why I continue to do it every day.
That's very well. Talking to the great Anthony Wesley, the son of August Wesley. I'm saying you're going to be an Olympic champion. You got to visualize things, and then you also put in the work ethic for it to make it happen. And when you think about the schedule and all, I mean, here's a guy that said he's disappointed to get a medal. So that shows the discipline, because not everybody gets the chance to place. So how do you go from, there are men and women who don't place a gold, silver, or bronze, but that mindset that makes you not happy when you don't have the gold, where does that come from? Would that be something your family treated, or something you've developed over the years?
I think it would be a little of both. Having a competitive household is I think important in terms of that. You always want to win. You never want to lose to your siblings, right? You never want to lose to dad or mom in any game, whether it's Uno, sorry, chess or checkers. It doesn't really matter. But that competitive drive was instilled in me from a young age. And then wrestling itself is an individual sport. Yeah. So winning and losing falls on me. Falls on you. You know, it's on the individual. So it's a very good sport if that's what you're implying for that. But having that drive, it does come from within. And some people do burn out, and it sucks to see, because I see a lot of talented males and females across the world burn out, and they're at the peak of their game. Yeah. But they decide that it's too much. So obviously, but it just keeps me going.
It keeps you going. The great Anthony Wesley, the mindset that you have as a young man. You know, I've always been impressed with your father, and then impressed with you, the way that you carry yourself. But I do have to say something, and I don't know if your dad's going to hear this part, but I do remember last time, you know, sometimes when you're a young man, you catch a fish and it's about 5 inches long. You know, 5 years later, that fish was 5 feet long. Okay? Yeah. So, again, we've talked about it in the past, but at what age did you know, whether you admit it to your father or not, you know what, I can actually take my dad? Is there a certain age that you discover you can actually take him on the mat?
Yeah, I think it was when I got to college. When I first got to college, I grew, like physically I grew, and I grew on the mat as well. So I obtained a lot more knowledge, a lot more skills. Yes. And I thought, and that was the time. I took him down, you know, made sure that he knew that I'm here, head of the table.
Okay, now you know I said as when you start fishing, a man that catches a 5-inch long fish, a few years later it was a 5-foot long fish. So you sure it was right about the college age? Is that when you took him down the first time?
That was the time. I'm telling you, it's got to be.
Okay, we can't.
And even now.
Okay, we can't confirm or deny, but all's fair in love and war. But I do appreciate the fact that your father played a great role in you becoming not only the man that you are becoming, but the wrestler. Tell me about what your dad did to help you grow, and that's probably one of the reasons that you're fighting so hard now to get that gold medal that you're after. Your thoughts about what did your father implant inside of your spirit?
Geez, there's a lot. I mean, he was very competitive as well. As you know, he wrestled. He played semi-pro football. He was always coaching. Yeah. He loved to win himself. Yeah. We could be playing video games. We could be playing Madden, and he would not take it easy on me. Right. He wouldn't. He would not let me win, and I had to learn from a young age that you have to go out and earn your wins. Yeah. So what did I do? I played Madden a lot more while he was gone and learned to beat him. But that translates to everything else in terms of wrestling as well. So.
Yeah, he thought you were doing homework and you were playing Madden so you could beat him in Madden. But obviously you did your homework, too, with all the grades you've gotten over the years. Talking to the great Anthony Wesley, the son of the great August Wesley. And I believe, I keep saying that Anthony is going to win a gold medal in the Olympics. And for your schedule right now, I believe Morocco 2023, you're there for 30 days. Paris, 30 days. Tanzania. Is it Tanzania, I believe? 15
Tunisia,
days. Yeah. Tunisia, 15 days. And then Portugal, 15 days. South Africa, 30 days. Serbia, 15 days. Then Tokyo, Japan in 2024, 60 days. And I think you have also London back in 2023, also for 5 days. Going around the world, different continents, different cultures, eating different food. Tell me your thoughts about what it takes to be so focused when sometimes people can't stay focused in their home country. Your thoughts?
You have to have an open mind.
Yeah.
Different cultures it's completely different.
Yeah.
From South Africa to Japan to Paris, everything is very different. As similar as we might think, as people who live in America, how similar some places can be.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not all that similar, and you have to be really open-minded to how the customs are in other countries, how their food is prepared, how they go about life.
Yes.
As well as how they wrestle.
Yeah.
All those places you named train differently on the mat. They all have different types of training, so I had to adapt to that, and you have to be willing to adapt. You can't be stuck in your own ways and have a thick skull and think that only your way is the best way, because having that open-minded allows you to grow as a person and as an athlete, and I think that's probably the most important.
Could you expound on, I talked about, your father's a great man, obviously, and then I know you put a lot on the line time and time again, but you also get a lot of strength from your mother, Christina, as well. I know oftentimes when you're wrestling, men tend to say that they learn a lot from their fathers. When they score a touchdown in a football game, they say, "Hi, Mom," or "Hi, Dad." And I know we heard a lot about what your father's done with his wrestling background and playing football, etc. Talk about your mother, Christina. Oftentimes, mothers do so much to make sure their kids have everything they need, but oftentimes they may not get the same kind of accolades. Talk about your mother, what she's mean to you and your success.
She was my rock, I mean, she was cooking food for me when I was cutting weight, making sure I was on my diet. She was on me for my grades to make sure that I could get into college, make sure I was studying up at Jesuit High School, and make sure that I was going to be able to be set up for the success that I have now. And she's been the forefront of my mind all the time. I mean, I wouldn't be the man I am today without her. She's taught me valuable lessons and morals that I can't even explain, and has sacrificed more than I will ever know. To be honest, and that's my best friend. That's my mom.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
There's so many words that can go on and on about my mother, and she was the best. I mean, she might not agree, but I think that I couldn't have asked for a better mother.
I'm really proud of you, talking to the great Anthony Wesley, son of the great August Wesley, and his mother Christina, and talked about their success in raising him to be a fine young man. Can you just, in a small of a U-turn, I know oftentimes people don't always stay on the same page with their parenting. Some people think maybe their parents are too hard on them, or others think they're not hard enough. But no matter what it is, what advice would you give to young people? I just saw the State of the Union last night with President Biden, and he talked about sometimes people having a tough time in life, and now there are times when a parent will either pull the family together or tear the family apart. Give me your thoughts on and what young people can learn from what you just said about how to love both of your parents no matter what's going on in life, because oftentimes people can pull each other away from that family unity. What advice would you give to young people kind of dealing with issues and leaning on both parents, if that makes sense to you, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because I don't know everyone's individual situation. And that is a situation basis to where it's different everywhere. But I think it is best truly to keep the people that have the best interest at heart, whether it is to push you to do things that are outside of your comfort zone, and that really would prepare you for the world, or someone that's going to just be there to support you when you need them. You don't have to talk to them every day. You don't have to talk to them every week. But give a call to them maybe once a month. Check up on your people. Make sure that they're all right, because that's important in today's society.
That's important. And you're 100%
making
right.
sure that your team, the people that got your back, have the purest intentions to make sure that they want you to be successful.
Well, I think
no anything else. No beating around the bush. Just hey, this is what I think will help this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to get it.
Yeah.
I don't care that it's going to be hard. Life is hard.
Right.
You know, you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to really dig deep and get. If you have a goal, how are we going to help? How can we attain this goal? Those are the people you can help from.
That's very well said. This is Big C Sports. Charlton Curry talking to the great Anthony Wesley, son of August Wesley, and his wonderful mother, Christina. I want to just, before we close out, you know, Anthony, you represented, now some people call it Cape Verde, others call it Cabo Verde. How do you pronounce it?
I usually use Cabo Verde.
Cabo Verde.
It's the Portuguese way of saying it. Some people say Cape Verde, some people say Cape Verde.
Yes.
It just all depends, but we're all one entity. So it's nice to be able to call it a few different things, but everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, semantics. So 2-time world champion, 3-time African championship, and then 1 African Beach Games. I know you have so much on your mind going forward, getting training and doing whatever you can to make sure that you're going to hold that gold medal at the Olympic Games. As we close out, Anthony, give me your thoughts and tell people where they can follow you. How can they follow what you're doing as you're climbing that mountain, trying to become the best in the world? Where can people find you? Is it Instagram? You have a Facebook account? Yep. How can people follow you?
I don't have a Facebook account, unfortunately, but I do have an Instagram account. If you would like to follow me, it would be Anthony Wesley and then 70 and then kg, because my weight class is typically 70 kilos.
Okay.
Because it is international wrestling, so it is in kilos.
Yes.
But it would be Anthony Wesley, 70 kg.
Well, that's wonderful. I do appreciate you talking to the great Anthony Wesley, son of August Wesley, and his mother,
Thank
Christina.
You so much.
Oh, you're awesome, man. I think you're an inspiration to a lot of people, and I admire your drive, not only where you've been, but the fact that you're such a young man and the future's right ahead of you. I just wish you nothing but the very best. But I do want to ask you, you already said you were in college when you realized that you could actually take out your son, take out your father. Now, when you realized you could beat him, who was taking out the trash when you realized that you were a better wrestler than him? Does that make sense to you?
I mean, when he came to visit me in Iowa State, he did it a couple times. He did do it a couple times.
Okay, out of respect, right?
Yeah, of course.
So when you get that gold medal, I got to ask you one final question. When you get that gold medal, who gets the biggest piece of pie or chicken or greens or whatever? Who gets the biggest bowl once you come home with that gold medal from the Olympics? Your thoughts?
I'm just going to have a big smile on my face because I hope it's going to be me.
Well, we'll leave it at that way. I'm sure your father may have his own story. Talking to the great Anthony Wesley is going to be a great Olympic champion. Coming to you live on Big C Sports Podcast. I want to tell you, I wish you nothing but the very best, and I'll see you down the road, Mr. Wesley. Have a great day, sir.
You have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for having me. I love coming on Big C Sports. It's the best.
Well, you are so welcome. We're going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the great Anthony Wesley, what he's going to do to get his Olympic gold medal, and also going to talk about some NBA basketball. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. And streaming on 4 TV platforms, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Really do appreciate that. Got a chance to talk to the great Anthony Wesley, who's going to be an Olympic champion, fighting for Cape Verde. And as a great wrestler, he's done multiple things in his lifetime, numerous medals, and also traveling internationally now to pin down more gold medals. And he even says that he will take the trash out for his father once he becomes a gold medal champion. So we'll see if that happens or not, but really do appreciate him. A fine young man. Wish you nothing but the best. Your father, August, and also your mother, Christina, they've raised a great young man. Really do want to give you some praise for that. Keep your head on your shoulder. Keep rising and shining. And keep your eye on the prize. The great Anthony Wesley joining Big C Sports Podcast. I want to get into some NBA basketball. We talked about the State of the Union last night with President Joe Biden and talking about making the economy great and the employment, trying to improve unemployment, also women's issues and equality and wanting us to go forward as a country. I really wish he would have spoken on reparations, because slavery is America's biggest sin, and sometimes people don't want to talk about that, but they want you to vote for them. But I believe he did a great job, and hopefully, I just want to give him some praise. Even the hecklers in the audience, I think that was despicable at the State of the Union to become a heckler as if people want to vote for that. But that's just the divisiveness in our country. You can't please everybody. They say all's fair and never war. But I want to say, let's stand up for the tip-off. We're all ready for some NBA basketball. And it's just my thoughts, and everybody has their own thoughts. But with Big C Sports, I got this thought about who the best players are in the NBA. They have the Kia MVP, and people know it's about, can you succeed? Can you rise and shine? Or can you kind of fall by the wayside? Everybody has their own thoughts about that. I look at the Kia MVP, and when you think of the top leaders, maybe the top 5, they got to hold steady. And last night, you got a chance to witness some great basketball, the Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics. The Joker, Nikola Jokic, he stays at the top, while King Giannis Antetokounmpo, he faces an important showdown with a familiar foe, and that would be coming up. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think when people talk about what the Joker did against the Boston Celtics, many people, including myself, I had Boston ranked number 1 in Big C's NBA power rankings. But you know, it's a miss or make league, and it's based on performance on the court, not necessarily what people think. But they played straight up last night, and Denver got the better of them. So setting the stage this week, I got King Giannis Antetokounmpo. I got the great LeBron James, who has a hitch in his giddy up. Then they combine for 6 Kia NBA Most Valuable Player awards. They're going to lead their squads into tonight's star-studded showdown between the Bucks and the Lakers in Los Angeles. The matchup features a pair of teams that are desperate for wins for different reasons. Now, Los Angeles is all about how do they survive this gauntlet of the NBA schedule down the back 9. They had a 130-120 loss to the Sacramento Kings on Wednesday, and that pushed the Lakers into the 10th seed of the Western Conference. You're hanging on because with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, obviously those are the 2 main guys for the Lakers. You got to know, if you're in the 10th spot right now, people say just get us into the playoffs and we can make a run like they did last year when they knocked out the Golden State Warriors. But they shot, I think, 80 more free throws than the Golden State Warriors last year. I don't know if that's going to happen again this year. I mean, I just don't see it happening. But when I think about the Kings, they're a gifted team, and they had a nail-biter last night in their win. So you can't take anything for granted. The Kings season series with the Lakers, I'm telling you, it's an edge. I think it gives to the Kings. They can play the Lakers very well. On the other hand, the Milwaukee Bucks, they rank 2nd in the East in a half-game lead ahead of the Cleveland Cavaliers, 7.5 games behind the Boston Celtics. And then Milwaukee needs to establish more chemistry on the floor in a big game like this with the new regime featuring the new head coach, Doc Rivers, who is 9-8 since his January hiring. But Doc's a playoff coach. I know he's got that one championship with the Boston Celtics, and they beat the Lakers in that championship. But now he has a chance to keep Milwaukee in prime position to knock down that number 1 or 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. But when you think about the absence of 3-time All-Star Chris Middleton, who still has not played since suffering a left ankle sprain, that was back on February 6th in a loss at Phoenix. He'll need to wrap it up and get his conditioning back for a return to the floor. But you still got to have King Giannis Antetokounmpo. When you think about a stat that you got to know, that's 28 points per game. That's what I call him King Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's averaging against the Lakers 28 points a game, and his highest against any opponent. He's also shooting 61% against the Lakers, which ranks as his highest field goal percentage against any opponent in his career. So he likes when the Lakers come to town. All fair and love and war, but he's a tough out. But if you look at King Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Davis can't match him. Nobody can really match him when he gets that head of steam coming down the court. And so when you think about 18 games left, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot if you're trying to compete for the top 2 or 3 seeds. It's not as much when you're down outside of the top 10. But Milwaukee, don't think that they are just reticent to give Boston the number 1 seed. They're going to compete for that number 1 seed. in the Eastern Conference. I just know they got 18 games left. They got to buckle down and try to do a better job. And you can think it, they talk about how you see it on film. They know they got to get better, but they're very solid. But just like talking to the great Anthony Wesley, even when you win a bronze medal, sometimes you're not happy with that. But when you look at it on film, they got to be able to sustain their high level of play. The Lakers coach Darvin Ham, after Wednesday's 131-20 loss to the Sacramento Kings, they at one time were up, I believe, 19 points over the Kings, and the Kings came back and got them. But the Kings can shoot with anybody. The Kings' problem is their defense. They got to play better defense, but that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Mike Brown will get that turned around. Now, Nikola Jokic is called the Joker for the Denver Nuggets. Right now, look at what he's doing. He's averaging 26 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists per game, almost averaging a triple-double. He dropped a 32-point triple-double against the Celtics in just a wonderful game that he played against Boston, and that was on Thursday. Now, he moves within a game of the Western Conference lead, and when you think about that performance, he's just shown that he could have been MVP last year. He could be looking at a four-peat because he got edged out last year, and maybe obviously so anyone can go for who they want to go for. And they got the great Joel Embiid, obviously, was picked as MVP last year, but the Joker notched his 51st double-double on Tuesday in an overtime loss to Phoenix. So even with that, the Nuggets are 7-1 since the All-Star break. They're playing really the best basketball. I thought Boston was the number one in Big C's NBA power rankings, but as I look at what happened in head-to-head competition, I don't know if you can say that Boston, obviously, is a 7-game series if you go NBA Finals. Boston was on the road last night. Denver was at home in the Mile High City. The altitude can be a factor. Boston played great. They lost by 6, but if you get Denver at home, they're probably going to win against anyone. If you got 4 home games with them, they're probably going to win those 4 at home. So you got to beat them on the road if they go on the road, and you got to try to sneak one at home. But if Boston can't do it, it's a make league. But I like the way they're looking. If you look at also the MVP candidates for Kia, I'm going to go with King Giannis Antetokounmpo. Everybody has their own opinion about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but I like King Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's averaging 31 points per game. Michael Jordan averaged about 32 when he was back in the day. But 31 points a game, 11.2 rebounds, and on 6.3 assists. And for the case for Giannis returned to the lineup Wednesday after sitting out Monday due to a left Achilles tendonitis. But even the two-time MVP could not help the Bucks in a 125-90 loss to the Golden State Warriors. He's only 29 years old. He dropped 23 points. He had 7 rebounds and 6 assists. And still the Golden State Warriors, they were able to get into the grill of the Milwaukee Bucks. The bigger team, the Milwaukee Bucks, in the paint, Golden State got in there and out-rebounded them 50-36. And then outscored them 54-36 in that area. Additionally, rookie Tracy Jackson-Davis flat out gave Giannis some fits. But Golden State's kind of been up and down, too. Now they got a hitch in the giddy-up of the great Steph Curry. So you know that's not going to help their chances trying to get to that playoff spot in the Western Conference. But back to what I think is MVP, you got to look at King Giannis. You got to look at the Joker. And when you look at both of them averaging in their stats, Giannis is doing his thing, averaging 31 points a game. The Joker's averaging, in his own right, 31 points a game. So who's the better player? It's not always about who scores the most points, but when your guy can go out and get you 30 points a night, he's pretty solid. And so I got to have those guys 1 and 2 right now. And I'm going to go, I know Giannis is a better player, better athlete, but my goodness, the Joker makes a lot of great plays. He's a great passer, has a lot of skill for a big man. He's not athletic. So some people say, well, he's not athletic. How could you say he's an MVP? It's not about being athletic. It's about, can you go out and get the numbers, almost averaging a triple-double every night? And you got Murray, who knows how to get the ball in his hands. And that's what I think about the Joker. He shows up every night. It's not like he's giving you 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. He's getting, come on, he's almost a triple-double every night. So I got to put him number 1, even though I know Giannis is a better athlete. But is he? They're right there neck and neck in my opinion. I got to go number 3, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Oklahoma City Thunder. And he's dropping 31 points a game, 5.6 rebounds and 6.5 assists per game. Now the Thunder, you got to think about this team. I don't have a lot of faith in them because they're young. They got to prove themselves first. He's picked up his career-high 46 game with 30 points or more. In this season on Wednesday, a win at Portland to cap a 4-game road trip. He's now only 1 game short of the OKC franchise record for 30-point games. That was reached twice by the great Kevin Durant in 2009-2010 and 2013-2014 season. The Thunder host Miami tonight. It's already on NBA League Pass. Tip-off 8 o'clock p.m. East Coast time, with the Heat poised to play the second night of it back-to-back. So you gotta look at what that's going to do for a great young team like the OKC Thunder. They'll most likely get that game, but I got to put him number 3. But it's not because he doesn't deserve to be number 1 or 2, but you got the Joker, and you got King Giannis, and they're not going to be outside of the top 2 in my opinion, because they both have championships to show for it. And that has to matter for something at some point in time, even though some people say, yeah, that's in the past. I mean, you can't put everybody at number 1. I got to bring number 4 to Big C's NBA Kia MVP All-Star. And I got to say the great Jason Tatum. He's dropping 27 points a game, averaging 8.4 rebounds, 4.8 assists, in the NBA's longest winning streak ended Tuesday at Cleveland in a game in which Tatum scored 2 points in the fourth quarter. That's not good. And when you look about Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis, they combined to drop 64 points, and they did that in the first 3 quarters. And then in the fourth, they all combined for 7. That's not good. They entered leading by 16. You got to know sometimes fatigue sets in, or sometimes your shot's just not dropping, and a good shooter, they keep shooting the ball, even if they should maybe pass it up. But the Celtics followed that with a loss Thursday at Denver. Everybody loses at Denver. I think the Kings beat them one time up there in the mountains. But a potential NBA Finals preview, they dropped 2 straight for the first time since early November. So you got to look at Boston. Are they coming down the back 9 a little bit tired? But look at who they lost to. When you lose a game at Denver, nothing to shake your head about. But if you're going to win an NBA championship, you got to win a game in Denver. That's just the way it is. The Miami Heat found that out last year. And so when you look at MVP players, I just told you 4 that are so solid, you could even mix it around, but I still say Giannis and the Joker. You got to put them 1 or 2 because they have a championship. And if you're going to be in that class of 1 or 2, maybe getting your team to the championship is going to get you there. Boston has a solid team this year. But do they have enough to win an NBA championship? I don't know. Sometimes they tend to collapse in the fourth quarter, and I've seen that happen before with this team. Miami got them last year when Boston was favored to win that series. But who knows? I mean, maybe their best games are behind them, but they're still a dominant team, and I still have them. You can't say they're number 1 in Big C's NBA power ranking because they got beat by 6 points by the Denver Nuggets, but that was on the road. If they were at TD Gardens, maybe it would have been a different story. When you go on the road, it's hard to protect your assets. That's why they call the Big C team with RDC, because we help NBA players protect their assets, if that makes sense to you. What's asset protection, Curry? It's called a guide to protect and preserve and transfer wealth. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. So I gave you my top 4 for Big C's NBA power rankings, but I would be remiss if I did not go down to the Lone Star State in a state called Texas. You got the great Luka Doncic for the Dallas Mavericks. I got to bring him in at number 5. Luka doesn't have maybe he's a magician with the ball, but some people feel he could be in better shape. And everybody says you got to be in better shape if you're going to run with guys like Giannis. The Joker doesn't have the same shape that Giannis has, but his physique is a lot like, in my opinion, like Luka Doncic. They're not chiseled men, but they sound basketball skills. He's dropping 35 points per game. He's averaging 9 rebounds per game and 9 assists. He's almost getting a triple-double. I mean, 1 more assist per game and really 9.8 rebounds. I mean, he's really a triple-double when you think about it. He started the week winning the Kia NBA Western Conference Player of the Month. Luka can do that. For the 4th time in his career, the great Luka Doncic is just 2 Player of the Month awards away from catching Hall of Famer, the great Dirk Nowitzki's career total of 6. When you got to look at how great he is as an individual, he hasn't translated into team success. And sometimes you got to learn how to make your teammates better. Look at Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson played every position in the NBA's final back in the day. But he made everybody better. He could have been a guy that held the ball until the last 4 seconds before you pass it. And sometimes that's what Luka tends to do. But I know with experience, you get better with experience. But if there's one chink in his armor, I think that's probably it. He knows he's good. And when you are good, you want the ball in your hand a lot. And maybe you don't want to pass it out as much. But he's averaging a triple-double. When you average a triple-double, you're doing everything you can, so his teammates have to step up. But it hasn't translated into success yet. But he's only 25 years old. He joined the great Russell Westbrook as the only player in NBA history to have 5 straight 30-play triple-doubles as the team reached that mark Thursday in a win versus Miami. He's solid. So even though people can criticize Luka saying, well, he doesn't play good defense, he needs to get back on defense. Giannis plays good defense. And then Alexander plays great defense. Guys that play great defense, you get noticed from both sides of the court like Michael Jordan would back in the day. And then I got to look at the next 5. Domas Sabonis for the Sacramento Kings. I'm not going to say he's a Kia NBA MVP. But he is a double-double almost every night. He's going to get the points. He's going to get the rebounds. He's not the greatest defensively. And that may count against him in the playoffs. But offensively, Domas is always in position to get a good rebound. And you got to like that he's a big guy, but he's not as physical as he should be. And last year, to prove that point in the playoffs, when Draymond Green pulled, I think they had a kind of a melee, if you want to call it, not like the Bat Boys of Detroit back in the day. But he was on the ground and Draymond stepped on his chest. And maybe it did hurt. I'm sure it did. But there was no retaliation. Maybe because he just has the discipline not to hurt his team or get kicked out. But when a man steps on your chest, you probably want to step on his chest too. Just to give a message to your team that I'm the alpha dog on our team. If you're supposed to be the face of your franchise, even though I think it's De'Aaron Fox and also Domas Sabonis, I couldn't imagine if Draymond Green had stepped on the chest of Joel Embiid that he would just lay there on the ground. I can't imagine if Draymond Green would have stepped on the chest of LeBron James that he would just lay on the ground. Sometimes you got to get up and send a message that you're not going to do this, at least in your home court, in front of your home crowd. So I think defensively, Domas, he's not going to be in the top 5 because he's not a triple-double, walking triple-double. But also that toughness that he should have. Maybe he has discipline and doesn't cost his team. It's just a thought. Someone steps in your chest, get up and step on his chest, or at least go after him. You know, guys are going to pull you back anyway. But he just kind of laid there on the ground. And I think that lost a lot of respect in the eyes of a lot of big men that would have retaliated. Just a thought. Maybe he did the right thing by not retaliating and being ejected from the game because Draymond was ejected. But I think when the Warriors went on to win that series, a lot of the Kings players, they saw their big man on the floor not retaliating. That's just, in my opinion, all fair and level war. I got to also put in Big C's NBA MVP awards, I have to go with the great Kawhi Leonard. The Claw won a championship with the Toronto Raptors, hasn't gotten that championship trophy with the Los Angeles Clippers, but they are a dominant team. The Claw, you can always count on him to get his points. He's not a triple-double, but he's someone that plays really good defense. He's very solid on defense, and then offensively, he can get to the basket. So you got to count on him, no matter what it is with the Clippers. They will never be LA's best team. Fan-wise, LA loves the Lakers, even if they're trying to scratch and claw their way into the playoffs. The Clippers are a much better team. They're the better team in Los Angeles, but they still don't have the LA's heart. LeBron James has a heart for Los Angeles. They love LeBron James in LA. Even though Kawhi Leonard, I can say, is a better player right now. But it's still about the Lakers. No matter what the Clippers do, they're still going to be the second team of Los Angeles. But Kawhi Leonard, you can always talk about him as one of the NBA's top 10 players. That's my opinion. And then I got to go to the Lakers, Anthony Davis. LeBron James maybe has another 2 years left in him. Anthony Davis wants to be the face of that franchise. But he, as a 7-foot-tall player, he can be very dominant at times. I know people say he's street clothes and he's always getting injured because maybe his body's a little bit too big and he can't handle the weight. But he'll always turn a knee or turn an ankle, always something, or he'll injure his arm. And that's just, that reputation has carried him. It's preceded him. But me, on the other hand, I like Anthony Davis because he's always there. Now, we saw him against the Joker last year in the playoffs, and he was outplayed by the Joker. Now, Anthony Davis may be a better athlete, but when it comes to the certain level of skill, he still has a way to go to get there. But I like Anthony Davis, and there'll be a day that LeBron James no longer plays for the Lakers. Anthony Davis will be that guy that carries them, but they got to learn to love even the time that he looks like he gets banged up and then he walks off the court, or he just doesn't have that physicality that maybe some people want. But I still think he's a dominant player and worthy of MVP consideration. That's my opinion. I'm sticking with it. I got to go. Number 9, the great Kevin Durant, arguably one of the greatest shooters in the game still, even though he had the Achilles tear when he played for the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals against the Toronto Raptors. Kevin Durant can get his points from any place on the court. The Phoenix Suns, they know that. Kevin can go out and get you 30 points in a game. Defensively, he can guard a big man. He can guard Davis. He can guard Joker. He can guard Embiid. He can guard anybody. At the same time, there was a time maybe when he played for Golden State, you got to label him as MVP of the league. He's not in the top 5 now, but he's still capable of any night lighting up the basket. And he can block anybody's shot. He can play great defense, but he's not the same since he had the Achilles. A lot of guys don't come back the same. But he's still a dominant player, but he knows he was better before the Achilles tear than he is right now. That's just my story, and I'm sticking with it. Not everybody's going to agree with that, but I still like Kevin Durant as one of the top players in the NBA. I'm going to put him MVP consideration depending on how far they run in the playoffs. To me, I still like the great Kevin Durant. I'm going to finish out with the great Donovan Mitchell, number 10 in Big C's Kia MVP candidates, because the great Donovan Mitchell, he's made so much work for the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know you can go through him. You can lean on him. He can go out and get you high 20s. He plays good defense. At the same time, you don't see in him what you see in Giannis. Because he doesn't have the size. But as far as a player that's there, going to get you some points, going to get that team going in the right direction, he controls the pace of the game. I like Donovan Mitchell, but I think when you look at Donovan Mitchell, he's not as good as Kevin Durant. He's not as good as Kawhi Leonard, but he's very, very solid. And if it's not for him, Cleveland's not competing for a top spot in the Eastern Conference because he makes everything happen. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Some of the other players that you could just think about that even they merit some attention as potential MVP, Bam Adebayo, Miami Heat. The great Devin Booker, Phoenix Suns. The great Anthony Edwards, Minnesota, had a little hitch in his giddy up, but I think he came back from that. He's going to be fine. Then you have, who I like, Rudy Gobert, Minnesota, but obviously he's not going to be at that top level. And now that the big cat is out, you got to really have to count on him. LeBron James, Los Angeles Lakers. People can say, oh, you just put LeBron there because of LeBron James. LeBron James scored over 40,000 points in his career. I want to give that some praise. No matter what you're saying about LeBron James, he's still one of the top players in the NBA. That's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. Well, everybody has their own opinion. That's Big C's NBA Kia MVP Awards finalist. That's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. As I always tell you, thank you, the great Anthony Wesley, wrestling for Cape Verde. And I believe he will become an Olympic champion. Just keep rising and shining the way you train for it. That's my story. I'm going to stick it with it. Well, as I always tell you, on every Big C Sports podcast, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad. And fathers against drunk drivers are mad. You could call Uber. You could call Lyft. You could walk it off. You could sleep it off. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of the car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own. That's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap on their own. Nobody should be able to go upside your head. They don't have a right to do that. Call 911 if anyone's doing that to you. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You need more leader in your life. Leader is an acronym for love is the answer. No one should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Back by a popular demand. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, he said, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Every time I listen to Big C Sports, I think reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. There was none greater than the great Muhammad Ali. Talk about social activists. Really do appreciate Ali. And as I always say on every Big C Sports show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Well, hold on, Big C, you didn't mention President Abraham Lincoln. Well, that's right. I know we missed it at the State of the Union last night, but you know reparations is big on my heart, and that's why I still ask the Biden administration, the black vote got you in the office. Remember where you came from when they voted for you. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to always honor President Abraham Lincoln as I champion reparations now, reparations forever. Come on, y'all, you cheer louder at a game. I want to champion reparations now, reparations forever. Come on, say it. Let your heart, mind, and body believe in what President Abraham Lincoln said back in the day. He said, reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.